I'm Dr. Anup Kanodia from KanodiaMD, and we're going to talk about innovations. The top 3 things I've seen innovation-wise, I'm so excited, and talking about how do we implement nutrition. Very excited about that too also. Brian, good to see you out there. Before we talk about the innovations, I want to go back to COVID for a second. We've been getting a lot of questions on COVID, and I want to make sure we're all on the same page about that. And again, if you have questions, please put them in the chat box. And towards the end, we'll try to get to all the questions. So in regards to COVID, what are we seeing? The biggest thing that I have read, and I read every night on it, is that COVID is back with a vengeance. And meaning that, think back to the winter time when we were in lockdown, etc., back January, February. We're at the February levels. And some states are seeing the highest ever, even back in the fall, winter, etc. So this is a significant surge, and starting in the south, it will go up. What's also very surprising, one of the heads of the FDA previously, Scott Gottlieb, he's on TV a lot, has said that this, not just him, but other people have said that this variant is 1,200% more contagious than than just the regular COVID. So it's much more contagious. It's most of what we're seeing now is this quote unquote Delta variant that we all hear. Some people are saying that we're all going to get it, whether the flu, like just like how the flu, we all get the flu, we all get the cold, but this variant is so transmissive that we all are going to get it one form or another. If you have the vaccine, it will be more like a cold. If you don't have the vaccine, it can be one of the worst infections that you've had. So that was surprising to me when I saw those quotes. This, based on the data, could be here for 3 to 4 months, if not 6 months. The nice thing is that this surge, because the variant is so transmissible, it goes up and then it comes back down. So like in India and the other countries, in France, huge spikes, then comes back down. But we're nowhere near the spike yet. The numbers keep going up. If people have a question about COVID, please let me know. One thing that's interesting, a couple things here, is the new data show that people with the vaccine are 800% less likely to get it and 2,005% less likely to die. And the questions are, is the data real, not real? I can never say, but I just want to tell you to hear what we say, what's out there, which I believe is in the medical literature. Next is that even if we get the vaccine, we can still pass it on to other people. That's shocking compared to the other variants for me. With that being said, the chances of you passing it on to someone else is a lot lower than we thought. 80% of people getting it, the infections are not from people that get vaccines. It's for people that aren't vaccinated or given to other people that aren't vaccinated. I think the biggest thing now is that what do we do about COVID that I'm reading about? I think a few things. I think the mask wearing, social distancing are important. I think that whether you are vaccinated or not, I think it's a personal choice. Please make what choice you ever want. If you are vaccinated, I would still treat it like you can still get COVID. That's number one. And if you're not vaccinated, you're going to need to take the preventions that you need to take. And so when looking at the data, now I've been treating COVID a year and a half plus more. What have I seen? I do see that having a strong immune system does make a difference. And strong immune system, as everyone knows, what to do. I think the 3 supplements that we have on our prevention protocol is important, especially for people who don't take the vaccine. So the 3 supplements that are on the what to take if you're going to get the COVID-19 vaccine protocol, those 3 are the 3 top immune boosters per se. In addition, what I've seen over this past year and a half now is I would add a couple things to it. I would talk about taking ozone treatments weekly. I'm getting IVs myself, some IV nutrients, and some Plaquex, which we'll come to. I'm getting it twice a week myself. But if you're not getting vaccinated, I would probably consider ozone weekly. And probably the other biggest thing you're going to hear today is postbiotics. Something new. I just learned about it about 3-4 months ago. I'm taking it myself, and we'll go over it. But if I'd add one big recommendation for COVID now is postbiotics. And basically, it's the number one thing I know that can boost up the immune system, because the biggest driver of the immune system, as we all know, is our gut. And this is the number one thing that can do to boost up our gut health, meaning gut immune system. And I guess Angela asked, is a postbiotic taken by mouth? It is by mouth. The one that we have is called Phenobiotic, and I'll write that in the chat box here. And I am taking that myself, and I've seen great results. But that's the big overview on COVID. I don't want to go too much into it. If you have questions, please let us know. Angela, I see your question or your comment, and we'll see if we'll try to get back to this here in the Q&A. Let's go to the slides now. And so the 4 things: peptides, postbiotics, Plaquex, and how do we implement nutrition, the Nourishing Plate, and the Q&A. So peptides, I'm not sure if people heard about this. It is awesome and amazing results. So if we think of just like a house, we might have an architect with all the supplies, the wood, the nails, and an empty lot. On the other side, we may have a full house. So when we give supplements, it's like just the nails and the wood, etc. And a peptide is a 1/3 finished house. So this is one of the newest treatments out there, idea of regenerative medicine. So most peptides up to now have been shots. And I've actually given myself a lot of shots trying these different things out. I found a company that gives it orally to people. And so it's a pill you give. And this has 4 different things put into one. And the things that it has in there, I'll go over here. So it has the peptides in there that helps build up the immune system, but really inflammation, hair, skin, nails, ligaments, muscles and joints, and sugar. And what's so fascinating about this is that most times people aren't healthy enough to go from, or don't have the knowledge, I don't have the knowledge, how you take wood and build the frame of a house. From the frame, yada, yada, yada. But if you have a house 1/3 built, it's much easier to go to a full house. I mean, I still can't do it, but I think it's going to be easier to do. And what do I mean of a full house? A full house is like a protein. So a protein is that if we want to have brand new nails, the proteins for a nail might be 160 units long. A peptide could be 30 to 50 units long of that already made. So it's really cool. And this is the idea of how do we regenerate the body versus how do we just stop illness from happening or give the raw materials the body needs. And this is what the box looks like. This is higher cost or investment than a supplement is. So this is in the same line as IVs, ozones, other type of procedures, but it's a procedure you can do at home, not come to the office for. 2 pills a day is what we usually recommend for the first month, and that's $700. Second month, $525. Third month is $350. Depending how people do, we help it go down. The reason why I'm intrigued with this enough, we started using about 6 months and 9 months ago, is that they have great research. They have published studies on this stuff, and I'm actually shocked at how good they are. But as you can see, it's going to work on arthritis, fatigue, asthma, osteoporosis, sexual dysfunctions, energy. You can read the whole list yourself, and just take a second to read it. And why is that? Again, it's like 4 peptides into one, and work on different parts of the body, and we all know about inflammation. We all know about sugar. We all know what the body needs in terms of hair, skin, and nails, and those other things. What we're finding is that most people don't have the raw materials or can't use the raw materials to take it to the next level. So the idea of, we might hear 50 is a new 40 or 40 is a new 50 or whatever that phrase is, and some of those things are happening because of some of these things here. If you have any questions about peptides, please let me know. We are using it mostly for people that have muscle and joint issues. We're using it a lot for people that have hair, skin, and nails, inflammation, sugar, and also for people that say, I want to anti-age. I want to regenerate my body. And I want to do something that I can do at home. They can't come to the office, etc. So this is something that we're finding we're getting great results with. One of our staff members took it, and I think within a month or so had less fatigue by 40%. Which was like, wow. I guess a couple stories that we may have is I have a patient who had malaria and all these type of infections. And he owns his own business, going to doctor, etc. And he just felt weak. And so when we gave him his legs felt weak, etc. We're doing all these other things, and when we get the peptides, he's like, "Wow, my energy, my legs are not weak or sore." We went down, tried to stop it. His issues came back. Got to get back on it. So he needs more healing. But we're seeing a lot of people saying, "Doc, I feel really good on this," even after they've done a lot of other things. So I think that's something that I like, wow, it's something new that we're getting great results with. Next, postbiotics. We all have heard about prebiotics. We heard about probiotics. Now something called a postbiotic. Now this is really cool also. So when we think about probiotics, we think about prebiotics, or when we think about postbiotics, let's think about big picture. There are 70 trillion cells in the body, 70. There has 210 trillion probiotics. So we're mostly probiotics and less cells in the body. And so we know that that 210 trillion is really important. And I was talking to a leading expert about gut health. And less than 5% of people have an optimal gut health. Means that they have the right level of probiotics. They also have the right level of what the probiotics should make. And it's interesting as I think about it is that why are we getting all these leaky guts? Why are we getting all this gluten sensitivity, dairy sensitivity, right? I don't prefer to be gluten-free, dairy-free, etc., but I know it's good for me because my gut isn't optimal. I'm like, wow. So these food sensitivities, these leaky gut, all of our issues to some degree, this gut's not healthy, and for different reasons. But one of the leading reasons now we're finding is that that microbiome, that 210 cells are not making the products that it should be making. So those 210 cells make thousands of different things. And that's all heals the gut, heals the whole body. Head to toe, we hear over and over and over again that the way our gut goes, so goes the body. Every day you'll see articles about the microbiome, how it affects brain, heart, cancer. New study just came out, affects longevity, anti-aging, and we can go on and on and on, right? Because it's just such a big thing. So if I can push a lever that affects 210 trillion cells, you're going to get much better benefits for the body than you could by trying to push something that's 1 billion cells, etc. So when we give a drug, many times it's affecting like 1 billion cells, like a cholesterol medication. It's affecting just one enzyme. But what if you can affect all the enzymes? Now that's really cool. And so what they're finding is that when you give when you give like a regular probiotic, and they're good, don't get me wrong, it's like giving you a seed. And that the seed has to make that 1,000 things or turn into a flower. The postbiotic is the actual flower. And why it's important is that what we're finding is that most people guts are not healthy enough to take a probiotic and actually make what the body needs to make with it. Or if you give a probiotic, that probiotic will not do what it needs to do in our environment. So why don't we just give you, so I don't want to give my girlfriend, or sorry, my fiance, a pack of seeds. I'd rather give her 12 roses. Same thing. Is that I really want those 210 trillion cells, the things that they should be making, should be able to make those things. Does that make sense? If questions, let me know. So the research is new, but what I love about the postbiotics, and I'm focusing on this right now, is the immune system, like I said. And I don't know if people have heard about the autoimmune illnesses. Most of us have on this call or this webinar. Autoimmune is affected by what? Imbalance of the immune system. On the upper left, there is a scale. You see imbalances there. Also, COVID is affected by imbalance of Th1, Th2. Th2 is not working properly. Infection prevention. We see metabolism, also preventing leaky gut, and the anti-tumor, which is anti-cancer, and antioxidant. Antioxidant means anti-aging or free radicals. The more free radicals we have, the faster we age. The more free radicals we have, the more that we have illness. So what are we seeing? Again, from head to toe. Digestion, allergies, weight loss, heart, sugar, diabetes, cancer, leaky gut, stress. We hear about the gut being the second brain and inflammation. Before we go to Plaquex, I guess I'll tell you a couple stories. So, number one, I'm taking it myself. And some people know, some people don't. I have chronic constipation. I've tried a lot of different things. Nothing was moving the needle. I'm trying the postbiotics, and it's really starting to move things because of you're giving the raw materials, the end products the body needs. A lot of our patients, including myself, like I said, don't like to have food sensitivities. So we have one patient who's been with us for maybe 5-7 years. She's doing well, but she's like, yeah, doc, I would love to be able to have less food sensitivities, eat out with my husband and not have to worry about cross-contamination. So she did it for a month, and she's like, wow, if I veer off, I don't have any symptoms. I'm able to eat a wider berth of foods. So that was amazing. Another patient of ours is a pilot, and he's worked with us for, I think, 5-7 years, maybe. He's done everything. And I told him about the postbiotics. He would get tired after eating. Same with me, actually. And so we got the postbiotics, and his tiredness after eating dropped by, I think, like 2/3. And I think actually my tiredness after eating is actually getting better too, which I'm shocked about, which is awesome. We also had a cancer patient. She's on chemo and working, seeing breast cancer. She's a very prominent alternative medicine, integrated medicine provider in town. Breast cancer, going through chemo, and regarding the postbiotics and a few other things, and their docs are saying, we have never seen someone do this well in the chemo. Supposedly people are supposed to lose their hair. Her hair is growing. They don't understand it. And that her side effects are minimal. And I said, yeah, we're keeping the gut healthy. Keep the gut healthy. You affect the 210 trillion cells. We're going to kill off the bad, but you're not going to have the side effects to those things. So that's really cool for me to see those things. If any questions, please let me know. Moving on to Plaquex. I don't know if anyone's heard of this term. It comes from the word plaque and the X. It comes from Europe. And the story is kind of cool. This doctor, his wife, I think in the 1940s, had a heart attack, and the cardiologist couldn't do anything for her. So she was going to die. And so the doctor said, well, I'm going to figure this out. How do I reverse plaque buildup in the arteries? And he figured out this molecule, able to give it, and she actually did really well. Lived a lot longer than they thought. And that's when this research started in the 1950s about this whole idea of phosphatidylcholine. And everyone knows about cells, right? That 70 trillion cells. We also have those cell walls. There's a wall around every cell. And one of the top ingredients for every cell in the cell wall is Plaquex, or phosphatidylcholine. It's written there. It's that quote-unquote miracle molecule. And why do I like it? This affects things from head to toe. All 70 trillion cells are affected. Because as we age, what happens? These cells do not work, the cell walls. And what happens? When we are young, our cell walls are like the ocean. Waves coming in, waves coming out. Waves go in, waves go out in the ocean. You allow nutrients in and toxins out. As we age, the waves stop. The ocean freezes over like an ice age. And when you have an ice age, what happens? Everything dies on Earth. Same thing is ice age in the body. Nutrients can't get into the cell. Toxins can't get out of the cell. And you age. So what's Plaquex trying to do? Plaquex is trying to thaw out the ice age, allowing the ocean to start having waves again. If that happens, guess what happens? Nutrients are allowed to go back in, toxins are allowed to get out. And now you're rebuilding the whole wall, of every cell of the body. So it's like, you redo the whole outside of a house. And it's really cool. There are IVs, and IVs are what we get the treatments, and we do the oral versions. IVs are about 210 a piece. We recommend 30 IVs to rebuild the whole body, a couple times a week. But again, you can do it once a week, once every other week. I'm doing it twice a week myself right now. And I went home, and it was funny. My mom was saying, wow, your skin looks better and you look healthier. And I didn't tell her anything I was doing. I was, oh yeah, I'm doing some IVs in the office, some Plaquex, etc. She said, oh, well, it's working. Keep it up. I said, oh, cool. The areas that we find that affects this, or let's go back here for still another second here, is this idea of why does an ocean go to the ice age? So the big things are inflammation, stress, free radicals, toxins, heavy metals, high blood pressure. So these are the causes that cause it, and all of us have these things. I have them. Everyone does on this virtual webinar. But what are we treating this for in the office? We're treating it for heart. We're treating it for liver, kidney, GI tract, especially our constipation patients. It gets things moving too. Brain, skin. We have one psoriasis patient. He's on everything. He's like, wow, his skin is regenerating. Eyes, shoulders. We're seeing for circulation, cold hands, cold feet. And why do I like it? Again, a lot of studies. 126 studies, over 38 years, over 8,000 patients in the studies. So it's really cool. I love it. So the three big things. So I think number one is that whole COVID. And Angela, I'll answer your question here in the Q&A. Number two is the innovative things that we talked about, which was the Plaquex. We talked about postbiotics, and we talked about peptides. Emily asks the question, do they work for any neuropathies? So I would say that the neuropathies could help with the Plaquex that helps rebuild the nerves of the body. I think that we would see that as also, I would probably do peptides also as something to again, regenerate the body. Neuropathy is that the nerves are no longer working for one reason or another. So we need to rebuild them. And so I find it to be very fascinating that if I can use regenerative medicine, this is having supplements 40 years ahead of time. So it's awesome. Next, we're going to be talking about the how do we implement cooking in the office. While we do that, I want to answer Angela's question. And we'll stop sharing the slides. And bump. Angela's question was, in your chat, people can read it. One of the nurses was traveling to South Carolina, had the vaccine, got COVID really bad. She had the Moderna. Her husband had Pfizer. Both lost their taste and smell. she was really sick. Her son didn't get sick. Can you explain kids? Can you explain kids are doing so much better? Um, so every immune system is different. In general, kids have a better immune system. So vaccines, masks, social distancing is only one part, but our overall immune system can also be affected, and kids have a better immune system than adults. And look who has joined us.
Hello,
And
Dr.
hello is, and so where are you guys at?
We are in the Nourishing Plate teaching kitchen at the KanodiaMD office, and Christina is here with me. She's our kitchen dietitian. We actually just wrapped up our first in-person class, so that's why we have some goodies here. And we thought we'd share that with you as we are cleaning everything up. I wish you could smell it in here right now. It smells so good. But we have some healthy loaded muffins and some antioxidant trail mix, and then these really good turkey meatballs that are for breakfast.
Wow. So yeah, so I'll be over there in a few minutes. Hold on.
That's what I thought.
And are all those gluten free?
Everything is gluten-free. This is actually a gluten-free teaching kitchen.
Wow. And so then and how does the food taste?
I mean, we had to taste test it all,
Yes, we
and
did.
it's really good.
It's all we have left.
We're like, oh, it's dinner. We're like, we need some more. And all of the participants loved it.
Yes.
They can't wait to get the recipe tomorrow.
Great. And so tell me more about the Nourishing Plate or the things that like you two are doing.
Yes. So I'm going to tell you more about it. I just wanted to start off and introduce Christina because she's going to get out of here for the night. But this way you see her friendly face, everybody out there, for when you attend our next group cooking class.
Yeah.
And this will be your instructor.
Yep, we had a lot of fun. Had a great time tonight. All right, you guys have fun. Okay.
I'm going to change views here a bit. There we go. All right. I'm moving you over, Dr. Kanodia. Okay.
Perfect.
There we go. Okay, cool. So yeah, just kind of telling you a little bit about the kitchen. You know, we created this space for people with dietary needs. Like I said, I'm the dietitian here at KanodiaMD, so I talk all day long about what people should eat and what is personalized and tailored for them. And so that's why we created this. This is the place and space for people to know how to implement it. So not just what foods to eat, but to actually get hands-on experience. And what's really cool is a lot of our classes now we're offering not just to our patients, but to the community. So this is also for people who just want to elevate their skills, maybe just cook with other people and have the social experience. So there's a lot of really great things that are happening up here.
Cool. Is the classes in person or are they virtual?
So we were doing virtual classes. This is our first in-person class. We have our next in-person class on August 29th, so in the month of August. And we're going to continue to offer our in-person classes as long as we can. And we're keeping everything very sanitized and safe, prep gloves, the whole 9 yards. But we just want to, do as much as we can in person. But I think another big draw is that people really enjoy the virtual classes too, because they can be in their kitchen as well. So we're doing a little bit of everything based on the comfort level and what people are asking for. So yes, we are doing the group classes, and we're also, Christina's doing personalized sessions, like private sessions with clients. And this is very much tailored to whatever the barrier might be for the individual.
So what are the top barriers that some people may have with cooking? I mean, I can tell you my barriers, but I can go all night.
Tell us.
So, okay, I can go on. I can grocery cooking or grocery shopping, then prepping. I can go on and on and on, but I'll stop. And
Well, it's a process is what I just heard you say. And that's what I
it
hear from
is.
a lot of people is,
Yeah.
getting a meal on the table, maybe just not for yourself, but for a whole family. So how do I cook something that tastes good, that's flavorful, that serves your body? So maybe my body doesn't tolerate dairy. So how can I still get something that's healthy and flavorful, that's dairy free, that not only I'm going to like, but my whole family might like? So that's a barrier, the grocery shopping piece, the meal prep, the planning. So we have classes tailored to that. And those are just a few of the barriers. I think one of the biggest things that I hear all the time is time. I don't have the time. I need quick. I need simple. I need nourishing, and that's why we go for a lot of convenience items. We want to make what we put, on our plate simple and easy and achievable. So we want people to feel good after they eat.
Yeah. So then, do you guys help? I know we use one cookbook, the Nourishing, or not, Cook Once, Eat for.
You
Um,
think we have a cookbook already?
uh, not yet. I know we have some cookbooks, the cook once, eat for a week type of things. Do you guys
Yes.
help implement the cookbooks or those things if as we do that?
Definitely, yeah. And actually, that's one of my favorite cookbooks at home. It's Cook Once, Eat All Week, and it's by Cassie Joy Garcia. And a lot of patients are just loving that book because it's the meal prep process, and it's simplifying, it's adding flavor. But yes, we do. So we're going to start, offering some of those options with the cookbook itself. But we're just doing some general meal prep overall in terms of helping people in the kitchen with that.
Got it. So, what is the number one tip that you would give someone for cooking? And I think I know what it is, but if someone's going to say yes about cooking or about eating healthy, etc.
You mean to get into the kitchen? What is
Sure.
one tip? Or
Yep.
just a skill, something that would be helpful in the kitchen?
Both.
Hmm. And I want to know what you think I'm going to say. I'm more curious in the answer that you already have coming out of my mouth.
I will say it after you give me yours.
Oh no. Okay. So in terms of cooking, again, what I tell people all the time is let's keep it simple. That's number one. I think the other thing is having some planning behind it is number two. You got to make sure that there is some planning, but it can be simple planning. It's preparing yourself. So it's preparing yourself and planning for success is what I always tell people. The other thing too, and what I encourage with these classes and with coming in here is that it's for all skill levels. So, I'm not a chef, and I pride that with these classes is you don't need to be a chef to come join us. And that's the beauty of it is that we're all learning together. And I think the coolest part about cooking is it's a love language. It's an experience. So we know that there's a lot of emotions around food, and part of that is, the community aspect, feeling like you're not alone. And so I think one of the biggest, tips in that sense is, stepping out of your comfort zone and knowing that no matter where your skill level is at, it's okay, and we're here to meet you wherever you're at within your skill level at this point.
Got it. So I was going to say that you're going to tell me is like prepping. Is that so? That's a number one thing that if we prep on Sundays or prep on Wednesdays or whatever, then it's easier to have the cooking done rather
And so
than.
that's that prep and that planning, right?
Yep.
So it all goes into that process.
Yep. So here's a couple questions I got.
Okay.
Um, one question is, what is your thought on microwave for reheating?
Good question. I think you just talked a little bit about this in your most recent on TV, didn't
Mhm.
you?
I did.
Yeah. So I think, with microwave, there was a lot of fear for a while there in terms of using a microwave and reheating food. Personally, I like to use a toaster oven. Even I like to keep one of those at home. I don't typically use the microwave. I think it can be good for short amounts of time. In terms of reheating some food, and you want to make sure the biggest thing is what your the container is. Is it plastic? Is it glass? What are you reheating your foods in, because we just want to make sure nothing's leaching into your food. But one of my favorite concepts, and if you're a patient of mine, you've heard me say this a million times, is one of my favorite concepts, and that's a hash concept. And it's because it's a one skillet dish, and you can transform it in many ways, and it's great for reheating. So it's just, it's something quick and simple. It can just take a couple minutes just to throw everything into a skillet. And then that way your leftovers are being reheated in that way at that lower heat. You can add a little bit of healthy fat in there as well. And it's an easy way to achieve that. So, I think toaster ovens are great. I think reheating skillet is great. And then just being mindful of what you're actually putting for container wise into the microwave.
Yep. And so, Paulette, here's my answer too, is that I know a lot of people will say, using the microwave for like another cabinet right? That the best use for the microwave is to store things in so you don't use it. And that's what some people say, right? Um, the one area that's been proven to be helpful with microwaves, and what Lauren was referring to, is food that's charred or grilled with the black lines. When those black lines are there, it's something called ages, advanced glycolated end products. So it's not healthy to have charred lines on your chicken breast or things like that. It looks nice, but it's not actually healthy. So one way to actually minimize that was to, after you cook it, microwave your food, and the microwaving will destroy the quote unquote ages or the harmful effects. But I think in general, it's better to use a stove. In general, better to use a toaster oven or the oven if you can. Another question, or something that someone got me, was, what's the next cooking class coming up?
What is it? Is that what
Yeah.
you said?
Yep.
So that one on the 29th that I was referencing is actually going to be one of those barriers that we were talking about at the beginning, but it's for packable lunches. And I really like this topic because it's not just for kids. I mean, it's great for kids, nourishing lunches. It's not just for, if you're going back into the office, but it can also be if you work remote, it's good to prep your lunch. So preparation, going back to that, prepping packable lunches that you can just pull out of the fridge or take on the go with you. So Christina's going to be leading that class, that group class in person is the plan. And we're really excited about that one because we know lunches can be really hard. It can be a really challenging time of the day. And to find something that's going to be nourishing enough and satiating enough.
Right. So, Mike, I have a question that I'll answer, and Lauren, I'll bounce it back up to you. Let me do lunches for a second as we talk about this. So, I'll ask you the question: is that now some people feel tired after lunches, the 2 or 3 o'clock thing. How do you recommend changing their lunches so that they don't have that tiredness during the afternoon?
Mm-hmm. Great question, and a very common thing that we see for patients. So a couple of things, we want to make sure that the balance on the plate, so looking at the plate visually, we want to make sure that we have the right breakdown of our proteins, our healthy fats, if we're having our leafy greens, our fiber sources, and then if we're filling in with our complex carbs. So we want to make sure that we are balancing out the plate really well. We're not having just a really high sugar or just total high carb lunch option and then crashing right after. So the first thing that we do is we assess, what does the plate look like, for that lunch meal? What is the macronutrient distribution at that meal? The other side of that too, and I know we've talked about before, Dr. Kanodia, is just how a person is digesting their food, and that can be a part of the reason why they become really tired. And so that means that we have gut imbalances going on, and we need to heal that with nourishing foods. And for some people, it can be really hard to break down heavy meats if their gut is in an imbalanced state, so that we may need to tailor that based on what they're able to tolerate and then build up to what our ideal plate looks like.
Yep. And so my comments are that I echo what Lauren's saying, but I find a lot of people are having too much carbs for lunch, and carbs can sag people down. So try having less carbs for lunch. That's something that can help. Now, if you have gut issues, absolutely, you might not have enough digestive enzymes. You may not have enough stomach acid, um, or other things going on, or you're not digesting protein well or fat well. And we all look at that. And then I think the other part of this is what we find a lot of times is cooked versus raw. Some people don't do well with raw foods like salads. Some people, it's harder to actually digest raw food than it is cooked foods. So if you notice, hey, if I eat a salad, that I get more tired at lunch, maybe you have more cooked spinach or cooked other things, and that might also help you out. So that's a question that we're seeing, that we get often asked. Now, here's a question for me that came up, which was, supplements for kids if they're going back to school. It's a great question. I think that when I look at supplements for kids, I would think of we have kids immune boosting ones. I would do that. I do a zinc for the kids, probably a vitamin C for the kids. The top three right now, based on what we see of the data showing, and maybe a vitamin D. So if kids going back to school, what are the top supplements? Those are the ones I would do. Now, in terms of kitchen, Lauren, or does anyone else have any questions? Now is the Q&A time, so please ask your questions regarding the things I talked about, the things that Lauren's talked about, the kitchen or nutrition, or any other questions that you guys have. We're here to help you guys out. If not, then Lauren, ask me a question that you want to ask medically or nutrition-wise.
What have you eaten today? I'm just kidding.
It's a great one.
We come in here for a personalized session.
Absolutely. No. So I had a smoothie this morning, and in the smoothie was a meal replacement, the Ultra GI Replenish. I put in there olive oil, MCT oil. I put in there fiber, the regular growth fiber. I put in there phosphatidylcholine, my Body Bio. I put in there the Reds powder also. And I think I put in the purple powder too. Mix it all into like one of those blender bottles, shook that up, and drank it. And so I was trying to get my fat, try to get my protein, and some veggies or other things by the greens and then the purples. Is what I had for breakfast. Lunch, I got a gluten-free sandwich from Jason's Deli. They have gluten-free bread there, and it was turkey and a whole bunch of veggies with hummus on it, and it may have also had mustard. So that was also a good lunch. Dinner I have not had yet. I'll eat after this.
I thought you were coming over here.
I definitely would love to. So Kurt's asking a question. Can we get that recipe? Kurt, are you asking about my morning shake? If so, please let me know. The shake, okay. Yes, I will put that out there. We'll have an email or something with what I put in my shake every morning. And so yes, we'll have that out there. And the email comes forward to that. Nancy asked, are gluten-free foods an option? They're filled with starch, other grains, which I understand were to be avoided if you're serious about gluten-free. So are you able to see Nancy's question there?
Well, yeah. I'm hearing a couple of parts to that. Is that what you're asking? If you want me to answer that?
Sure. If you want to answer. So
or maybe I'll take part, you take another part of it.
Sure. So are gluten-free foods an option? So someone's going gluten-free, should they eat food that has gluten-free on it? They sometimes have fillers that are starches or other grains, which I understand to be avoided if you're serious about gluten-free diet.
That's a great question. And that all comes back to, it depends on where you're at coming into the journey too. So at the very beginning, there's people that look for some transitional foods, the gluten-free products. And what is that term? Semi-homemade. Love Chef Laura did that webinar and talking about how it's okay to use some products that are semi-homemade to help you for quick meals, and that it all may not be one ingredient from scratch. Now that lends into another topic of reviewing the ingredients labels and looking for our better brands that don't have a lot of fillers and gums, and so they're not all created equal. And so when we look at gluten-free products in general, yes, there are a lot of gluten-free products out there. Some are better than others, and so then that's why it's really important that we're in the driver's seat. We need to make sure that we have the education and that we teach you to know how to read those ingredients labels, so you can make that decision on your own on what your body is able to tolerate and what's going to be nourishing for you. Now there are, and I don't know if this was part of the question in terms of cross reactions with grains for people, and that's why we do some Cyrex testing to see how a person, an individual, is going to tolerate certain grains, because you may be eating gluten-free for certain reasons for your health, but that may not be enough, that your body's also reacting to the cross-reactive foods, and there's a list of that for the Cyrex testing that we follow, but also other elements such as lectins, which have anti-nutrients in them. And so there's different components to look for. So it's not such a black and white answer. It really depends on the person, and that's why functional medicine is so great. And I'll put the rest to you there, Dr. Kanodia.
Yeah, I think same thing, Nancy, is that I don't think everyone gluten-free should go grain-free. Or I don't think, it should be an all or none. Hypothetically, way back when I first started this, I was probably more an all or none person. And what I'm finding is that some people just do really well with a healthy gluten-free, healthy dairy-free. But then, yeah, when we test, if they have lectin positive, we go grain-free. Or they're gluten-free and they're still getting reactions, we might then do a gluten cross reaction panel, and lo and behold, it's rice or other things that are in there. So, so yes, gluten-free foods are an option, and we use that a lot because we find that a lot of people do well with gluten-free foods, especially healthy ones. Luann asked a question. Lauren, she says, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you, Dr. Kanodia. Yep, she didn't mention you at all in there. Just want to let you know. Okay. Just want to let you know. She was saying that I made a lot of sense. Okay. But so here's a question about from Luann about nebulized saline with hydrogen peroxide for COVID. It's very interesting. One famous doc, Dr. Brownstein, loves it, and also Dr. Mercola does. I've read the articles. We've never had to use it yet, so I don't know the results of it. The data that Dr. Brownstein shows is pretty promising, and Dr. Mercola shows is pretty promising, but I can't say for certain, but the data looks promising. Emily asks, 3 treatments you're doing, the 3 new ones, are they progressive or one at a time? And Emily, it's a great question, and each person individual. Some people will do 2 or 3 at the same time. Some people do 1 at a time. It depends on their symptoms. It depends on how much regeneration they want to do. I really want to anti-age, so I'm going to do as much as I can to do those things. But people can do them 1 at a time or simultaneously. Any other questions that people have? If not, now's a very good time to end for the night. Lauren, thank you for being here in person at the office, because we know that you're all around the country. So that was really nice of you to be here for this. And thank you for doing the cooking class and showing us what you made. And I'm excited to see what else we come up with in the kitchen for people.
Thank you, Dr. Kanodia. I appreciate it.
Yep. Everyone have a great night. Again, bye, Lauren.
Bye.
Obviously, there'll be a video recording. There'll also be a blog post attached to this. You'll have more information there. And if you have any questions, just reach out to the office. And yes, we're really excited. Thank you guys for all being here tonight and to learn all this new information. I want to have everyone have a great evening. Bye-bye.